Namaste. Welcome to a fresh episode of Politics 360 by Thought Habitat Space. So far, with Politics 360, we have interviewed candidates, psephologists, and even senior journalists who have a complete understanding of a constituency or a state. But there is a point which we've been missing all this time. We didn't get to understand what a voter would feel like. Let us say I represent Tamil Nadu and I have a perspective about all the regional parties and national parties here. Similarly, now we have 5 state elections coming up in Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Goa, Uttarakhand, Manipur. And when we talk about these states, it is completely polarized. Uttar Pradesh, for example, is completely polarized. And people in each and every constituency vote on a different perspective. Issues change from district to district, from constituency to constituency, from region to region as well. So on that note, we have a common citizen like you and me who comes with a good understanding of the political scenario in Uttar Pradesh. She's been a native of Uttar Pradesh and she has worked in the bureaucratic ranks of Uttar Pradesh too, as a class 1 officer. Now, her understanding is far more different than all of us. And hence, we have Bienu Verma Vaghela with us, who is going to share some of her views about the political scenario in Uttar Pradesh then and now. Bienu, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And it's a pleasure to always have you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I have a few questions for you, Bienu. So my first being, Uttar Pradesh being your home state, I'm sure you've been closely watching the forthcoming elections, besides being a social media influencer and a blogger. So, but if you had seen the elections in your younger days, that is in your 80s and 90s, it could be far more different than what you see today. Is that so?
Yeah, it is. First and foremost, thanks, Arvind, for the opportunity to take your audience through the down memory lane with me. What elections were like then in 90s, late 80s or early 90s, and what these are today. Today, these are the most watched event in India, where everybody is hooked to watch UP elections, whether they belong to the state or they don't belong. But they have some kind of connect. And it is believed that UP sets the course of national politics. And most of the prime ministers have come from the state of UP. So these are very prominent on the election landscape of India. So as we all know, UP has always been the hotbed of politics. And the first elections of independent India were held in 1957. Since we have seen so much activity in the political scenario with the appointment of CMs, with the resignations of CMs, with the sacking of CMs, with the CMs just vanishing in thin air, and CMs, very, very successful CMs who have repeated their tenures maybe 3 times, 4 times. So it is the most complex scenario of UP's politics. But they are very different than which, as you rightly said, than they are now. In those days, people did not have a voice. It was kind of a one-way communication because of the absence of technology and social media. People were just attending rallies, reading the newspaper editorials or seeing the ads and watching the posters who have painted the town red the most, listening to the word of mouth publicity and giving heed to what their influential people in their society or circles were saying. But I must say the results were astonishing. Sometimes we could never guess who will wear the crown. They were so such sucker for knowledge and analysis, I must say. But the late 80s saw emergence of a new kind of politics in UP, where CMs emerged from very humble backgrounds. They did not belong to any royal families, so-called, or dynasties, or bigger parties, or had some name. They just came from nowhere with their own leadership capabilities. So, and they did such effective social engineering in the state that it proved to be a game changer. And I I noticed that coalition was at its peak in those days in UP. Strange bedfellows, completely contrasting, starkly opposite ideologies, joining hands with single focus to form the government. So this was the change in the scenario, and new names emerged, new parties emerged, new voters emerged. So that was the time when UP elections went under complete transformation. As far as outreach was concerned, I can say the state was decorated with flags and posters and rallies and announcements all over, and thankfully there was a time limit to make announcements on the road, and papers were full of ads, one leader, another leader, this party, that party. So it was a mahal of celebration, we can say, and everybody was like, wow, I'm going to vote this time. So, and people are quite conscious. They love to vote. They want to see, I made the government. So this way, we can say UP voter understands politics very well. And hence, it leads to so many drastic changes on the UP's political scenario every now and then. One moment you see, oh, this is going to happen. The next morning when you open your eyes, you are subject to something completely different. You say, no, that is not going to happen. This is going to happen. So this confusion prevails till the results are out.
That's really interesting, and that makes up for all the back-end negotiations and everything that's going always. Yeah. Now that Bienu, you said a voter in UP is pretty well informed, and the voter chooses the parties very wisely, right? So in that case, how do you view the upcoming 2022 assembly election? How prepared is the voter in you?
Okay.
In your opinion?
Today, as you would agree, Arvind, today elections, not only in UP, anywhere, are very different. They are just nowhere close to the elections being held in 80s or 90s. They are the most keenly watched event. These are not just elections. These are the events to watch out for their many firsts this time. From being one-way communication of the candidates to a very strong two-way communication, social media activity is at its peak, which is looking to be changing the course of entire elections, entire results. Social media has its upside. Commoners have a voice. Commoners have an opinion. They have their stands. They contradict people. They contradict their friends, and they stand for some ideology. It looks like on social media, but the flip side, all of us know, there are too many opinions, too many voices, trolling. The scenario is little chaotic, I think, which can be avoided. Then people are quite open about expressing themselves in these elections, airing their views openly. Whereas in 80s and 90s, people were like, they made up their mind, but they kept their choices close to their chest. They never discussed openly. I was working there, but I think people kept their choices to themselves, their family's choices, until they were coming from some political background. They will never tell whom they are going to vote. And never discussed. They must be discussing in their families or their friends or their social circles, but not in offices. And there was no social media, so that question does not arise that who is thinking of what. But then another big change this time is surveys, opinion polls, which have, which penetrates into voters' psyche very deeply. When we suppose we are thinking about some particular party or some particular candidate, but when the survey comes, you know, it is like your mind grooves. Oh, maybe him, maybe her, maybe this party, that party. So they are quite effective. I don't know, they are effective in getting the decision across or making the voters make the choice for that particular their predictions, but they are effective. Then, as you see, elections have become round the clock preoccupation now. Everybody, as soon as you open Facebook, you have 100 opinions, 100 comments, Twitter, 100 trolls, what candidate is saying, what voters are saying. So that way, it is a very interesting as well as a challenging scenario at the same time for the voters, for the candidates. How prepared candidates are? They always say they are well prepared because they start preparing from the beginning. They say we made bridges, we made schools, we did this, we did that. But I don't know what is the ground reality. But voters, yeah, voters, I think take time to prepare. They want to judge everybody's manifesto, everybody's accomplishments, everybody's failures. They are keenly observing what candidates or parties are propagating or saying. Then their mind is going back to certain incident. Look, in this party that happened, that party did that. The old things are resurfacing and impacting consumer psyche, which was not the case earlier because of social media. One day you make up your mind, one day you have thought about something, next day whole story comes about it. So it is a lot of confusion going on in the voter's mind, but it is the last moment which we makes the decision while going to the polling booth. This is uh, this is my observation.
Okay, that's pretty interesting to know. And we know, of late we've been hearing that. You earlier mentioned that since the 80s and 90s, leaders emerge from nowhere. I mean, it's not essential that a leader has to be from this particular background, but leaders emerged from nowhere. We had Mayawati who emerged from a completely downtrodden background,
Different
and then
background.
we had Mulayam Singh Yadav emerging as the chief minister. So similarly, in 2017, we had Yogi Adityanath coming from nowhere, a five-time sitting MP, if I'm not wrong, since 1998. So
Yes,
he
yes, yes.
all of a sudden turned out to be the chief minister of the state. And now he is contesting from Gorakhpur, I believe.
Gorakhpur. No.
Yeah. Yeah. So in that case, we've been hearing a lot that Yogi Adityanath's governance is like pretty well versed. Yogi Adityanath has been excelling well as chief minister, and the way he handled the COVID-19 scenario in the state and everything is all really commendable. They say all that, but how true is that? Like, does it mean that the entire scenario has changed over these 5 years? So how
No,
was
I will tell you. Yeah. So, Arvind, I would recollect that day I was shopping in a mall and my phone rang from an unknown number. And it was a call from a news channel editor from Lucknow. He told me, Binu, Yogi has been called to Delhi. So we got the wind of it. I was slightly taken aback. I thought Yogi for UP, the most politically charged state with own set of unique problems, and it needs to progress. So, but I must say, Yogi has beaten all perceptions. What a phenomenal administrator he has turned out to be, surprising everyone. His knowledge, his understanding, technological abilities, his commitment, and his social connect is praiseworthy. People in Uttar Pradesh are loving it. I have connected with them personally. So, and their feedback is not under any pressure. They don't want to say that because they have to say it. They are saying it genuinely, that he has inculcated good governance in the government. There is a good law and order situations. Women are most happy because of this law and order problem. Where I was there in Lucknow, 9 o'clock was all shut case. There were no mobiles, so mummy could not call. But I know what she must be going through if I am not there by 9 from office. So that was the case. And most importantly, he has given a good image to UP, which was need of the hour, and state lacked that categorically. Like, oh, UP, nothing much big to talk about. But as I said, UP has undergone a tremendous change as far as law and order is concerned and infrastructure development is concerned. Two things he gets full marks on that. There are flyovers, there are roads, there are lights, there are stations, there are metros, medical colleges, and I have seen all of them. I am not telling you by reading any newspaper. And all of us know the effective and such phenomenal organization of Kumbh Mela, which became talk of the town, it became talk of the world. Everybody, every single human being was coming happy and going gaga over Yogi's organization, which is the biggest congregation of humanity on this earth. So he has proved his mettle always. I will not go into political details or whatever, but he is a hard taskmaster. He is a quick decision maker, and he is everywhere. He is not that he is sitting in his office and watching everything on systems. He is like, sometimes, someday he is there, here, everywhere, meeting people. So he lives to breathe UP. That way, very great choice.
Hey, that's good to know. And similarly, Binu, you've been working as a class 1 officer under Mayawati as well as Mulayam Singh Yadav in the 1990s, I believe. If I'm not wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how is it to work with them? You know, both of them come from a totally different background, who were like pretty new to administration at that time. So how was it to work with them as a class 1 officer for you?
Yeah, Arvind, I did not get to work that closely with them that we can say work, but yes, I interacted with her on few occasions, and I will tell you that being in that position and as a young officer in those days, I was always thrilled to go to Vidhan Bhavan and to CM's office and get all my colleagues' administration. Oh, going to Vidhan Bhavan. Even I have worked, take me along. That was the case because I had that Vidhan Bhavan pass, anytime access for the media I used to handle. So I looked at Mayawati ji in those days because she has risen like a meteor in UP politics, which was truly inspiring for any woman. So that way and besides that, she was quite clear in her thoughts how a particular work will be done, what particular noting will be done, and she was quite sharp at that. Besides, one good thing, she never forgot to check that if I will be dropped home if it was getting dark and it was winters. So, घर जाएगी ना, कोई drop करेगा ना, she will always check. So that way I have good experience of that. Then came Mulayam Singh ji. Mulayam Singh ji, as fondly called Netaji, and he is in Netaji's mood. He has been a student leader. He has been a big leader, and he has been a leader in every respect. People of UP loved him. He came with absolute majority. So, as a student leader, so a true leader in that sense, his connection with the people of UP was very great. And fortunately, once I got an opportunity to work with him because of some NRI seminar or something, and got to briefly interact with him. So he told me, because I was in Ministry of Industry, the department reported to Ministry of Industry, he told me, तुम क्या सोचती हो भाई, एज ए यंग लड़की हो, यंग ऑफिसर हो, यूपी के इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन के बारे में। हाँ, फिर उन्होंने बताया कि मैं तो यूपी को सबसे इंडस्ट्रियलाइज्ड स्टेट देखना चाहता हूँ। कोई ना मेरे सामने तमिलनाडु की बात करे, ना कोई और स्टेट की बात करे, अपना यूपी इंडस्ट्री में चमकना चाहिए बीनू, ऐसे ऐसे बोले। देन ही आस्क्ड मी कि व्हाट ऑल यू डू, फिर वे व्हाट इज माय फैमिली लाइक, एंड ही आस्क्ड मी वेयर इज योर फादर वर्किंग, and I told him कि he passed away quite early, so he said okay. I mean, he was very, so he came across as a very amicable leader. uh, it was good interaction.
That's really interesting to know about both of the tall leaders in the state. Now,
Yeah, very tall.
as you said, like outdoor campaigning has been shut by the election commission. So there is no scope of stepping out and doing mass campaigns. Everything is going to be on social media or televisions or anything that is digital, right? So how prepared is the voter of Uttar Pradesh to witness that? I believe even though we say that Uttar Pradesh is like developing, and I believe there's more scope for internet penetration and everything. In that way, do people really have access to internet that they could visibly see all these social media campaigns happening? Or do they have televisions at home to look at all these advertisements going on? So how is that? And how is that scenario going to be?
Arvind, I think more than the voters, it is the preparation of parties which matter.
Okay.
I tell you, voter in UP will go to any length to watch what is going on the political landscape of India, political landscape of UP, what candidates are saying, what are political maneuverings. Even the most uneducated voter, I don't say there are any uneducated voters, will have very strong opinion, which will be point blank to the point. He will have a strong opinion. So he will ask his grandchild to show him what leaders are saying. He will go to some panchayat to watch the TV. Then early morning he will have some gathering and discuss what candidate what. So they are very political agile voters. Yes, coming to parties, unfortunately, the pandemic spread as a third wave and followed by another new variant have changed the flavor of the election. And thankfully, we have media, we have social media, net connectivity, and technology to fall back on. But I admit, it is challenging for small regional parties who banged on only rallies and talking to people and addressing and putting their point across, sharing their manifesto, their plans, which has gone haywire for them. I think they must be feeling the pinch of any outdoor campaigns or something. But yeah, the bigger parties which have the paraphernalia, the good technological backing, strong social media presence, and their manifestos and media bandwidth. The biggest thing, the media bandwidth. So this is going to prove the game changer. But it is a natural calamity which all parties need to address, and it did not come just now. We were all sensing it that it will come. The preparation should have been there. Still, uh, mm, parties cannot negate the importance of the natural connect, the physical connect. So they are all doing outdoor door-to-door campaign, visiting voters in interiors of UP, talking to them, which is a good thing happened. I think it is a blessing in disguise. Voters are get to seeing their candidates on their doors. What all you can ask for? I think it is a good thing. It is a plus. The plus thing. Why have so many rallies? Waste everybody's time. Do virtual rallies. It's not difficult. Even regional parties can take up regional rallies. There is unnecessary hue and cry. You hire an expert, address whatever you want to. People are there to listen to you. Tell your people to tune in. Everybody has net connectivity. Everybody has smartphones. So it is not difficult. But if you're clogged with the mindset, अरे rallies करने का मौका नहीं है, outdoor campaign का मौका नहीं है, then it is difficult. So not just social engineering, social connect is also very important in UP elections in particular. And no challenge is bigger than the elections, I feel.
Hey, that's really interesting to know about elections in the late 80s and 90s and how it is going to be in 2022 and how informed the voters are. It was all good to know from you, Bienu. It was quite an insightful session for us. So I believe this election is again going to be nothing more than interesting. As we could see, the events are turning out to be more and more interesting as the days go. So let us see what happens on 10th of March. So we'll be eagerly waiting for that.
Yeah, keenly awaited. All of us are. That is the day to watch out for.
Thank you so much for joining with us today. And
thank you for the opportunity. Look forward. Bye.
Thank you.